Hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Red Jacket Lawyer. If you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe and let us know what you would like to hear from us next. Today we are going to speak about the role of the notary in German company law. If you're used to doing business in the UK or the US, most of you will have come across a notary as somebody who simply stamps documents to confirm a signature, as is customary in many common law jurisdictions. However, Germany is very different and to a certain extent in sync with many civil law jurisdictions, where a notary is not just a witness. They are public officials with a quasi-judicial role, and in many cases without them a company simply wouldn't come into existence or corporate acts would simply be invalid. So who or what is a notary? A German notary is an independent public officer appointed by the state. They are legally well trained to the same standard as your German Rechtsanwalt and in many ways well beyond that. But their job is, unlike with the Rechtsanwalt, not to represent one given party to any legal act, but rather to act in the middle as an impartial legal administrator and supervisor. They act as guardians of legality. Their role is to make sure that legal acts are valid, clearly documented, and that every party understands what is being signed. So, in practice, notaries sit somewhere between a judge, a lawyer, and a registrar. They don't argue the case, but they make sure that the rules are followed and everybody understands and what they are doing so that acts can later withstand scrutiny by the court or any registry office. What they are doing is governed by the Bundesnotarordnung, which is a statutory instrument governing the conduct of the notaries, as well as by the German Beurkundungsgesetz, the Notarial Authentication Act, which governs how they need to conduct their work. So why are they involved with company law? German law requires their involvement in many corporate acts to ensure that a level of legal certainty is very high to prevent disputes as good as possible. The philosophy there is that it is cheaper and safer to prevent a legal problem from arising at an early stage rather than having to fight about it in court at a later point in time. So whenever something really fundamental happens in the life cycle of a company, a notary ought to be involved, whether that is the creation, any major changes, or a transfer of ownerships by way of selling the shares. Now, the caveat is it's not applicable to all types of companies. There are some differences, but for the companies that play the crucial roles in the commercial world, that is certainly true, and is also true to say that you are ill-advised to select a company type for your business simply on grounds of avoiding notarial costs. So the notarial work starts with company formation, and we've already looked at the GmbH, which I shall take as the basis for this. And if you want to go back, have a look at the videos, which I'm sure the team has linked somewhere here. The notary ensures that the articles of association of a GmbH comply with paragraph 2 or according with paragraph 2 of the GmbH Act. The notary ensures that the articles of association of a GmbH comply with the requirements of that very act. And most notably, they need to include the name, the capital, the shareholders, and the directorship situation. And he ensures that all these aspects are properly covered in the articles. He will read the articles out aloud to the parties, as indeed he will read out any document that is being executed in front of him aloud to the parties. And more often than not, that is the point in time when questions arise, because practice shows that people don't tend to read the documents in preparation, but they come to the notary and then they sit there and only find out what's happening, and probably ask questions to which they will then receive impartial advice from the notary. Where required, the notary is also the person who effects filing with the appropriate registrars. Normally, he does so in an electronic way. But his involvement goes beyond company formation, as already indicated. He will play a pivotal role when it comes to amending the articles of association for a company, when it comes to changing the company's name or seat or capital, or when companies are involved in merger transactions. All of these documents will require notarial involvement. So, what does notarial involvement entail? What does he do? Well, the notary will prepare a draft deed of whatever actions the parties envisage. And in that process, he will closely interact with the parties' representative lawyers, who in turn are partisan and will see to put their client's interests forward as good as possible. And within what is legal, the notary will allow that, and so it is for the parties to negotiate their position, and the notary will simply act as a guardian of the law. Once a document has been signed, the notary will seal the document with his seal that usually entails the coat of arms of the German federal state in which you are. He will file the documents, and if you require a certified copy, he will issue that to you, because he himself will keep the originals for his records. And if you, for whatever reason, need another copy in years to come, you can go back and get one in 5 years and 10 years, or probably even in 20 or 30 years. What are the legal effects of these deeds? Notarial deeds carry special legal force. It's an official public document issued under the German civil law, and it has a very high probative value in court. It is conclusive evidence of what is contained therein, and it will not be possible for parties to challenge the content of the document on a factual level, to the contrary to what the notary has certified. And that's of grave consequence, because if, for example, a debtor agrees in the deed to a certain debt and also agrees to immediate enforcement, a notarial deed can in fact be enforced by a bailiff, just like a judgment of a court could be, without the parties having to sue first. So, depending on which side you're on, it's a very dangerous document in that case, or it is a very powerful document. I pointed out that notaries are strictly impartial and look after the law. That is also ensured by having a very fixed remuneration system, whereby the notarial fees are fixed according to schedules and tables under German law, the so-called Gerichts- and Notarkostengesetz. the court and notary fee law, and fees are non-negotiable. And every notary charges the same fee for the same transaction. So you may be able to get a better deal in that you get an extra cup of coffee or more fanciful furniture, but the actual legal service itself will cost the same wherever you go when it comes to notaries. The notary, to put it bluntly, has no financial incentive to win a client or to push a deal through. Their duty is to the law itself and not to one of the parties. So if you're coming from a common law background and you're thinking of a notary, you would probably have very different ideas to what a German notary is. Your thoughts are going to be more along the lines of a independent witness who certifies documents. The German notary is more of a mix between a solicitor, a registrar, or even a judge. So the German system is very formal in that respect, but it also provides for a high degree of legal certainty and protection. And that's why it is attractive for German investors and for investors entering the German market to understand the notary's role on process. So in summary, the notary is a gatekeeper of legality. He is a guardian of the law, and he is a safe haven for investors. For that, he is not out for his own commercial benefit in any specific transaction, but there to ensure transactions are conducted in accordance with the law. Without a notary, many corporate acts would simply have no legal effect in Germany. And from that, I will leave you with the idea of a notary. It was great to welcome you back to the channel. Hope to see you again very soon. In one of our next videos, we will cover how the commercial register works, and we'll of course also revert back to the various types of German companies available. Take care, bye-bye.